I'm Shannon Francisco King. I'm the director of Upward Bound Math and Science in the PHCC After 3 programs, which are outreach, secondary outreach programs for Patrick Henry Community College.
And I am Sharon Gilbert. I formerly worked with Upward Bound Math Science, and before that, Talent Search. And now I am a full-time faculty member. I teach psychology, sociology, and human services classes here at PH.
We've been around for a little while and have done financial aid pretty consistently for about 12 years. Some things have changed. Most things have stayed the same. So we're just going to go through and kind of give you a very kind of broad overview about the financial aid process so that you know what people are asking for when you start applying, okay?
Does anybody know?
So during this session, we're going to talk about financial aid. What does that mean? We're going to talk about your need components. That's how the financial aid offices decide how much money you're going to get in your financial aid package, what the types of aids are, how do you apply for aid, your dependence or independent status as a student, how outside aid or scholarships that you may apply for may affect your award, and change in circumstances. Okay. Financial aid are funds that are available to you as a potential college student in order to pursue post-secondary education. And most of the time, financial aid, when we talk about financial aid, we're talking about grants, scholarships, loans, and sometimes additional funds that may come to you specifically from the college that are institutional funds, and then outside scholarships that you apply for on your own. Financial aid is there to bridge the difference between what is your cost of attendance and what is your expected family contribution. The FAFSA is what determines your family contribution. So, go ahead, Sharon.
Okay, so when you think about the cost of attending college, most of the time the only thing people think about is their tuition. That's a part of it. However, if you're going to live on campus, you've got room and board. If you are going to live off campus in an apartment or something, you still have to pay rent, utilities. That's the same as room and board. And even if you live at home, and there's lots of expenses that you're going to incur. Travel, for one thing, if you're a commuter student. And then you always have personal expenses because, let's face it, nobody wants you coming to class if you haven't had good personal hygiene, right? Mm-hmm. And so you've got lots of personal expenses. And then there's books, and I'm not so sure that book slice is big enough. And then there's other. Books have gotten to be extremely expensive, and lots of schools are trying to get away from paper books and go to e-books to see if they can cut down costs for students. So, but these are depending on what school you go to. Obviously, if you go to the community college, you're not going to have room and board. But you're still going to have all these others. Your travel expenses may be more than that piece of pie right there.
If you're commuting, where a lot of students who live on campus, you're walking out your door into your classroom 3 buildings away.
Right.
So it saves on your funds. Okay. Your EFC, or your estimated family contribution, as you apply for college and when you go, you start completing your FAFSA, you're in the Upward Bound program, you're going to hear from your advisor, what was your EFC? That's what this is, your estimated family contribution. And that's based on 2 components, what your family can contribute and what you can contribute. A lot of students, when we've done FAFSA in the past, they've been like, I have $900 in my savings account. Do I have to put it on there? Yes. $900 when you look at the cost of your attendance, which is kind of a lot of times for students a sticker shock. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as well. But it's based on your family contribution and your parent contribution. It's calculated using the FAFSA form. If you do not complete the FAFSA, you will not get any financial aid from your institution. Never think, I make too much money.
No.
Don't ever think that. Oftentimes we hear there are parents that are working full time and they don't think that they're going to qualify for financial aid. The thing is that college, by and large, the sticker is usually about $25,000. How many of us have $25,000 hanging out? Not many. Apply for financial aid. So number one rule, everybody should apply because you don't know what your EFC will be. So your financial aid, your financial need calculation looks like this. What's the cost of attendance? That big pie chart that we looked at that had your room and board, your tuition, your books, your personal expenses, minus your expected family contribution, which is the student contribution and the parent contribution. That equals your financial need. You may be shocked. You may come out and see that your EFC is $1,200, but your cost of attendance is $19. So they're going to put together a package to get you as close to that as they possibly can. Okay? All right. Financial aid comes from the federal government. That is Pell Grants. Those are Stafford loans, which most of our students get. State government. There is 2 grant programs or 2 grant aid programs from the state called VGAP and VTAG. One is for private schools, one is for public schools. You're eligible for those funds just because you live in Virginia. The state also provides each institution with a certain amount of money to push towards getting Virginia students to college in Virginia. The college and universities, almost every single college, university, or community college has a foundation that's responsible for raising outside funds to help students go to college in the form of scholarships. And then there are private sources, the scholarships that you apply for on your own, from Mini T-Mod that's in there with a $1,500 scholarship or $2,000 scholarship, from Martinsville Area Community Foundation, from Tobacco Region Scholarship funds. Those are all renewable, all things that you can apply for every year. There's also the Gates Foundation. That is as long as you are in school and maintain your GPA. You go on for 9 years, it's there.
And there's also, if your parents are in any kind of civic organization, most of them offer scholarships. If you have a family, a parent involved with the Elks Club, if they're a member of the Elks Club is one, gives more scholarships than any other civic organization. Rotary, all these different clubs, and even, some local churches and different things will offer scholarships, but it's your job to seek these out. They are not going to come looking for you. They're not going to send you a list and say, hey, these are available, why don't you apply? Not happening. You've got to seek them out, okay? So don't be slack. Do your homework. It's very important.
It's a good idea if you are not currently a senior, and if you are currently a senior, regardless of where you are in high school or college. Guidance offices and then our foundation office get outside scholarships. They send us information. They send your guidance counselors information. You go in and pull every single one of those. You make yourself a folder for when you are a junior or you are a senior, when you're eligible to apply for those scholarships, and be on top of your game. Be ready. Know what's due and when. I spoke at the Martinsville Rotary 2 years ago, and they were awarding scholarships. There were 4 young women there, and the smallest scholarship they gave was $500. The largest was $5,000. Guess how many students applied for that scholarship? 6. Okay, 3 of them got awards. You can't make that money anywhere else. If it takes you 3 hours and you're getting $500, parents, how would you like to make that kind of money?
I know I would.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We've already talked about scholarship grants, Work study we have not talked about. Federal work study is funds that the government appropriates to the institution to put you to work. So you may be able to work in a department that you're interested in pursuing a field. Sharon has a work study who is interested in going into human services field. And so she's learning from our human services faculty about those programs, about services that are available, getting to spend some time. Those internships or work study opportunities spell experience, which is what a lot of our young people are missing when they graduate from college to be competitive in the job market. Take advantage of those.
And I'm going to just interject right here. Not only is work study and internship experience is important, but when you're applying for any kind of scholarship, you better have some volunteer service. Mm-hmm. So you make sure that you find some place, whether it's SPCA, the museum, the Red Cross, and they have specific guidelines as to how, age and all these kind of things. But you make sure you have some good volunteer experience. And it's fine to volunteer at several different small things, but what they really want to see is a commitment that you volunteer at the same place for a good year or two. And if you are in Scouts, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, or any kind of organization like that, that is important for your scholarship application as well. So any kind of activities, whether you're in the church choir, all of those things spell that you are somebody that's committed to do the work that's required in college. If you've never volunteered, you've never had a job, you've never done any kind of work experience of any kind, your chances of getting a scholarship are going to be lower than somebody who has those things on their application. So those are very important things.
70% of college scholarships are based on what you do to contribute in your community. 70%. Scholarships is money that does not have to be paid back. It's usually based on some unique characteristic and need in combination or a specific field that you may be pursuing. There are scholarships out there for people who are going to be nurses. There are scholarships out there for people who are going to be journalists. So they're career specific. They're also merit specific. They're also service driven. You can, as we talked about, all of these different places that award scholarships. A great place to register online is fastweb.com. You fill out a very extensive profile, and then they send you a scholarship for every single thing that you might be eligible for. There's a session at the end today specifically on scholarships with our funder, and Megan Keffer, who's with Upward Bound, is going to talk to you too about how she made money going to college. She's finished. Doesn't know a dime, never took a loan. She went for free.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it can happen for you, but you've got to get out there and do the work to get it.
And do not ever pay money to be entered into a scholarship.
No.
Never pay money for any of these access services. Ever, ever, ever.
Don't pay money to get a FAFSA filled out. None of that stuff.
It's all the .coms you have to be leery of. Okay. All right. Grants are also money that does not have to be paid back. Sometimes they may be directly associated with a commitment to serve in a specific region. It used to be that the tobacco scholarship was tied to a commitment to return to a tobacco-affected area in the state and work. Now it's just a straight scholarship. But there are some grants that are directly, like the Teach America program. You get the Teach America scholarship. You commit to teach for 3 years in an at-risk area or an at-risk school for 3 years, and your loans are forgiven. National Guard provides funding for people who are enrolled in National Guard or who are enlisted in National Guard. There are some grants. There's and some of them also have agreements to serve during your commitment. Like the Centennial Scholars Program at James Madison University is a full ride scholarship, but you do have to do volunteer service. The PHCC Scholars Program, same thing. Okay. Federal grants are the Pell Grant, the FSEOG grant, the Teacher Education Assistant grant, or Teach America. Okay. And then Virginia Tuition Assistance Grant and the VGAP program, which we've talked about already, or grant aid. That's money that doesn't have to be paid back. It's awarded to you.
Can I just interject
Yes.
1 second? Back on the TAG grant, we didn't really address that. That is for students who are Virginia residents that are going to private institutions to help, make up for the big gap in how much financial aid you get and the cost of attending a private school. Okay, work study. We kind of talked to you a little bit about that. It helps you earn money to pay for college costs. Hopefully it is the money you need to pay for your personal expenses, your travel expenses, any other things that come up that you might not be expecting. If you have to go out and buy a specific computer program to do a class that you need, things like that. Also, there are jobs both on campus and off campus. So sometimes, even though you are under the work study program, they might send you to a public school, to an elementary school or to a middle school to help and do, various things. Also, sometimes, here at PH, you get a paycheck. Most places you get a paycheck, but there are times when it's simply credited to your student account. And then sometimes it is non-monetary compensation, like a resident assistant who lives in the dorm and gets their room and board at no fee, but they're actually working because you're responsible for making sure that things are quiet in the dorm at quiet hour. You're making sure that nobody, that there's no disturbances, or that if roommates have issues, they help try to resolve those. And so those are things that they do that helps give them the work experience and also gives them that free room and board. And you can rise up through the ranks if you're an RA.
Student loans, we actually have a session that will provide you with much more in-depth information on the student loan and parent loan process during the next session. It's the lowdown on student loans if you're interested in attending that. There are a couple of different kinds of loans. You have subsidized loans, unsubsidized loans, and they're made specifically to parents or students. Those are things that are going to be available on your financial aid offer. Okay. If you take a subsidized loan, I think that's actually this slide. No, it's not. Okay, the Perkins loan is fixed 5% interest rate. It does not start accruing until you complete college or you leave. You don't finish if you take a semester off. You start accruing interest. Get in, stay in, finish. Pay back. Okay? So the Perkins loan is federally subsidized and it is awarded directly to students. Subsidized loans mean that you don't accrue any interest and you don't have to start paying them back until after you get out of school. Unsubsidized loans are also made to students and to parents. For students, you do not have to start paying back on those unsubsidized loans if you take them until you finish school. They don't accrue interest, but they start accruing interest, but you don't have to start paying back until you're finished. And the Parent Plus loan, which is when parents can borrow money to help you go to school if they so choose, but are not required. That's also an unsubsidized loan, so it does start accruing interest immediately. Usually you have a certain amount of time, 60 days, to start making payments on those plus loans. One quick thing on student loans. If you get a financial aid package, when you get your financial aid package, you don't have to take everything that's there.
Right.
You can pick and choose. If you want to go to your own bank and try and make your own loan, some lending agencies will also provide college loans, okay? For FAFSA, it's very important to complete the FAFSA form. If you have not already done so and you're a senior or parent, if you're here and you're coming to school, it's important that everybody completes a FAFSA form for every college student in your family. Okay? It does make a difference. They do take into consideration how many people in your family are in school at one time.
Yeah. Even if a parent is taking part-time classes, that's important.
Today they will be able to help you get your PIN number if you do not already have one, and to help you complete your FAFSA form, to connect your taxes to your FAFSA form. That's part of the verification process, and to get those things rolling. The one thing I will say about financial aid, it's kind of like a cookie jar. That FSCOG grant from the Fed, that Perkins funds, all of those funds are not there for every single person. The earlier you apply and the earlier you apply to school, the bigger your cookie.
That's
You
right.
want the whole cookie. You don't want what's left at the bottom. So time is always of the essence. Those grants that are institution specific, that FSCOG funds, Perkins money, all of those things, when they're gone, they're gone. And you may have 100% need, but if they don't have the money to give you, they can't give it to you. Okay, so make sure you complete your FAFSA in a timely manner, as fast as you can. Students and parents each apply for a PIN number, because you have to sign, students and your parents have to sign. You're required to report your parents' information until you're 24 or 22. I can't remember. The financial aid ladies can tell you that. I think that information changed in the last couple of years.
I think it did. I think it used to be 26.
Eligible students for the FAFSA are U.S. citizens, and eligible non-citizens, those are people who are usually pretty far into the citizenship process or permanent residence process. You have to have a valid social security number. Guys, you have to have registered for selective service. Most of you, if you've gotten a driver's license and you're a man, you have already applied for or already registered with selective service, which is the draft. You have to have homeschool diploma, a GED, or your high school diploma to be eligible for FAFSA. And you have to be enrolled in an eligible degrees program. That's something that you need to check out when you're looking at specific schools, colleges, universities, or trade-driven schools. They have to be participating in this and have an accredited institution. And we tell our students this all the time, criminal convictions, including drug convictions, make you ineligible for financial aid. It is not worth it. Share that information with your friends. They need to know. Okay? It's a big deal. 24 years old. Your dependency status is based on this information. I'm not going to read it all to you. You can look at it. But that is also an institutional specific decision-making process. Say, for instance, that you, you may have friends who are in this situation. Maybe they live with an aunt or an uncle. Maybe they got dropped off with grandma when they were a small child, and they don't have a relationship with a parent specifically, or maybe their parent won't disclose their tax information and their income information because they don't have a relationship. Those things happen. Those are things that you need to communicate specifically to the financial aid office at the institution where you're applying. Okay? They make those decisions in that office about your dependent status. Don't think just because you've claimed yourself for the last year that you're going to be independent. It doesn't work that way. Okay? Trust me.
Yeah.
All right. Parents are biological parents or adoptive parents. Grandparents, legal guardians, foster parents, older brothers and sisters are not considered parents on the FAFSA unless they have illegally adopted you. That's where that information I just said kind of comes into play. All right? Possible dependency override can happen with special circumstances. You need documentation of that. You need a guidance counselor to document that. You need to have it notarized and sent to that financial aid office.
That's the the dependency, like if you were living with the grandmother, grandfather, aunt, uncle, whoever. Those are the cases where you absolutely need that information in order to be classified as an independent student.
Which should get you more financial aid.
If your parents are divorced, then the thing that you have to remember is you report on one parent. Whoever you lived with the most during the past 12 months is whose income you report on. Even if they are remarried, well, their tax information, their spouse, that goes towards your FAFSA. So the thing that you have to remember is that if, for instance, they divide things, then you have to come up with some kind of equation as to who paid the most, and it might be who paid for your health or your car insurance. So there's ways that you can determine who paid the most, who was the one that contributed the most to your well-being and your upkeep, basically.
When you report your household size, that's everybody that lives in your family. If you're taking care, parents, if you're taking care of an elderly parent and they're living in your home, that is part of your household size. It's people for whom, if you are mom to another high school student whose mom is not currently taking care of them and that person lives with you, and you provide for them, they are dependent in your home. You just need to be able to document that for verification purposes. Okay? And it's from July 1 to June 30. That's the fiscal year for the government. Common errors, make sure that you review. Make sure that you review. It is a good idea when you can to come into the FAFSA office. Those of you that are in UB, we can definitely help you. Patty Amos is here in the EOC office in admissions at Patrick Henry Community College. She will help you and she's a whiz on financial aid. She can do it fast because she does so many of them. But use those resources. Members in college, just as Sharon said, those part-time folks, you're taking a class or two, that counts. You are in college. That's expensive stuff. It's additional money that's leaving your house to go for education, and those things definitely make a difference. The DRT, you're going to notice there's a link. It's going to give you the option to link your tax information to your FAFSA. Do it. It will save you so much time and verification process. If you don't do it, you know you're going to be marked for verification, and then you've got all those extra steps to deal with. Make sure that you link the DRT, okay? We talked about verification. The financial aid office, when you get your award letter, that's who you call. Financial aid office at that specific institution. They will be able to give you the most up-to-date information and the most accurate information about the aid that they're offering to you. We can help you, but they can give you all of the absolute specifics. Okay? Outside aid. When you apply for private scholarships, you are supposed to report that information to your institution where you're going to attend school, because it may affect your aid package. Okay?
If you get the scholarship, you have to report it. Don't report what you applied for.
Right.
Only once you get a notification you've received it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So here's just an example. The cost of attendance of University Americana is $24,000. That's the sticker. It's kind of like going to shop for a car. Have lots of options available, and you never pay the sticker price, right? Kind of how it works. College is the same way. You have the sticker price. Okay, that includes options. Your sticker price usually includes like the very nicest dorm and the largest food package. Those are things that we'll talk to you more about, information that may be available, but use what's best for you. Doesn't mean that you need to eat 3 meals a day in the dining hall, because you probably won't. Maybe somewhere else. Okay, so your ESC, that's your estimated family contribution, is $4,000. That leaves $20,000 out there that school's going to try and make up for you. So we have $6,000 in grants. That's good because that's money you don't have to pay back. Very good. Work study is your work. It's working on campus, working a job while you're on campus that earns you money for school that goes in your pocket, or maybe goes to replace your room and board. Your loans, $6,000. So that may be a combination of, probably is a combination of subsidized and unsubsidized loans. And then here are your scholarships. If you didn't have those, this number would probably look different, but these probably would not. The scholarship money is what's going to change this loan amount. That's money you have to pay back. It doesn't necessarily change these two things. It's going to change this. All right? You do not have to take all the money that they offer you in a loan. But you definitely want to take all the money they give you here.
Absolutely.
Okay? All right. You will receive a financial aid award letter. It will give you instructions that there's something that you do not want. You put a line through it, and you adjust the total at the bottom. You sign it, your parents sign it, you send it back in. You'll have to complete, if you're taking a loan, you'll have to complete a financial aid review where you learn about how you're going to pay that money back and what your responsibilities are as a borrower. Okay? If you have done your FAFSA and then your parent, maybe your parent loses his or her job, or hours get cut, there's some change in circumstances. Okay? Maybe another kid has come to live in your house and you need to adjust your dependency number. Or maybe mom decides she's going to go back to college too. Those are things that you need to be able to adjust on your FAFSA form and be able to address specifically with the financial aid office as they may affect your award. Okay? All right. Here's one. Unusually high medical expenses paid but not reimbursed by insurance. If you have a car accident, you know what I mean, somebody in your family has an unforeseen expense that may warrant a difference in your estimated family contribution. What's next? Get your FAFSA done. When you get your FAFSA done, you'll get your student aid report, your SAR. That's another word that you're going to hear a lot. Can you send me a copy of your SAR? When you finish completing your financial aid forms, you'll get an email with your SAR, your student aid report. That gives us, or gives the financial aid office, what your family's income is, what your contribution is, what your estimated family contribution is, how many people are living in your home, how many people are in college. It's kind of a condensed FAFSA report for them to look at. Okay? That thing is very important. When you get that, review it. Make sure it looks right to you.
And if there's any discrepancies or anything that looks weird, it's going to have a comment beside that line. It will look like it'll have the question that was asked on the FAFSA and then your answer. And if your answer looks weird, then it's going to be a flag. So you need to make sure that anything that doesn't look right or any errors that you may see, that you correct those as soon as possible. Okay?
We know we've given you a lot of information and it's really dry. If you have questions, we're happy to answer them here. We're happy to answer them one-on-one, or please call the office.